This is Stormboarding coming at you today with another video, and today we're going to talk about the concerning signals that I've been seeing in the tropics, and we're going to talk about some model guidance, some ensemble guidance, and my overall thoughts towards the end of this video. But before that, if you've been liking my weather content, please subscribe and give my video a watch, as I'll be giving you in-depth analysis and daily weather forecasts, especially when we have signals like this one showing up in the tropics. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So let's start with the GFS model. And before I show you this, I want to let you know that this model isn't the gospel. This isn't what's going to happen, but it is a solution that could happen. But I can tell you right now, this isn't going to happen this way. But I'm going to show you this. But before that, I want to actually take you back to this. And here's our tropical weather outlook, and you have three areas to watch. One over the northwest Gulf Coast, you have one over the Atlantic, and then you have one over here in the Caribbean islands. Now, this area near the Caribbean islands, this is a concerning area because, and we'll get into that, but that's a very concerning signal that we're seeing right now. It's at a 40% chance, and I actually expect this to grow as we get into further into time, especially if we get closer to this time frame. But we're going to start off by showing you the GFS model, and then I'm going to take you through some other models, and then we're going to do some in-depth analysis. So let's start here at the GFS model, and let me stop talking your head off. So here we are into our weekend, and I want you to watch this area near the Caribbean islands, because this is where you're going to start to see some consolidating. Now watch this little area right here. I'm going to draw here on the map right here through the Yucatan Peninsula. You already have a consolidating area of thunderstorms and showers. This will all consolidate into one area and create a what we call low-level circulation. Remember the other day from the video where I talked about a low-level circulation? Well, this is that. And so you're going to want to watch this area for development of a tropical cyclone. And as we go through time, here we go, slide up a little bit. So as we go through time, notice as this area really gets going, as it moves into a very favorable Gulf of Mexico with very warm ocean waters. I mean, it's going to be very explosive. Anything that can really form and consolidate is going to be big. It's more than likely going to be a big time storm, because there's a lot of warm ocean waters in this region of the Atlantic, and there's no wind shear. Very favorable area for development of a tropical cyclone. So as we go further into time, it shows a major hurricane going towards the Florida Panhandle, and then it moves it up. So that's one solution. Now, I want to show you the European model, which also shows a hurricane going through the Yucatan Peninsula and then going towards the Gulf of Mexico. So here we go. We're going through time, and as we go through time, notice how you see this area of consolidation over near the Caribbean islands. This is Tuesday, so September 3rd. We're going through time, and this starts to develop. As it starts to develop, it strengthens rather quickly, becomes a hurricane, and then it goes into the Gulf of Mexico. Again, you're also showing another major hurricane to the Gulf of Mexico. So we're starting to get some consistency between the models. So that'll be something to watch out for. Now here I'm going to show you the GFS model, which these are the ensemble members. And we're going to go through time. And I want you to watch that same area right down here, as we start to see a lot of members light up in that area. So here we go. As we go through time, here we go. If you'll move with me. And look at this highlighted area showing that potential for that disturbance to really develop. Now granted, as you get closer to the Caribbean islands, particularly closer to Jamaica, Cuba, and those areas, models start to split on where the storm goes. But for now, the track right now is not set in stone. We don't know where this is going until we can get a low-level circulation. So if you see model images online showing that this storm is going towards Texas, Louisiana, or even the Carolinas or Florida, that's not set in stone. We don't have a low level circulation yet. So therefore, the track is very uncertain. But what we do know is that this area of the Atlantic right now is very favorable for some significant development of a tropical cyclone. So that'll be something to watch. Now, I'm going to show you the EPS ensemble members, which have been fairly aggressive this entire time. They have not really backed off. So here, look at the highlighted area showing some pretty decent chances for development of this tropical cyclone. And some of these members are very concerning. I'm telling you right now, if we can get an area of circulation to form over here in the Caribbean islands and move into the Gulf of Mexico, we're looking at a dangerous situation. Now here I'm going to show you the Canadian model, which also shows development of this system. So I'm going to go through time, and again, you're going to watch that same exact area. Watch as it explodes as it goes towards the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the Canadian model is much, much further south because it takes longer to actually develop this system, which that's a caveat. If this system takes longer to develop, it'll go further south. If it tends to develop rather quickly, it'll go further north towards places like the further northeast Gulf of Mexico, or maybe even the Southwest Atlantic. We don't know yet. So we'll have to see how latest convective trends look. I can go and tell you today, we've already had a few areas of the convection try to form all into one big piece, which will form a low low circulation. If that happens over the weekend, which will be pretty quickly, we could be looking at a pretty dangerous situation with this storm. Now, why are we looking at a dangerous situation? Well, the chance of this forming, in my opinion, is actually quite high. I want you to notice. Remember the other day I was showing you a lot of dry air out here in the far central Atlantic. Well, over here you don't really have any dry air, and this entire area right here is again very favorable for development. And I'm telling you right now, the ocean waters over here in the Gulf of Mexico are very, very warm. Here I want to show you this. Look at all this red, bright red start showing up in the Southwest Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico. In this region, there's tons of warm water favoring some pretty explosive development. But it isn't just warm waters. I also want to show you the fact that we have no wind shear to tear apart this hurricane. Looking at the upper level wind pattern, we're in a very favorable environment. You got some really favorable upper level flow for a storm to really develop. And I'm telling you right now, this is why if you see a model run and it takes you to the Gulf of Mexico, this is exactly why it's so explosive, because you're seeing very favorable upper level flow in the Southwest Atlantic and in the Gulf of Mexico, which would favor significant development of a significant tropical cyclone. So, saying all that I said, I am favoring development of this system. And I'm telling you right now, if this system develops quickly, number one, that's going to lead to a further north and east track and a less southern track like what the Canadian model showed, which showed a much further south track because it took longer to develop. You see how that takes longer to develop? So obviously it goes further south. Whereas with the GFS model, notice how it developed much quicker than the Canadian model. And it exploded fairly fast because, like I told you before, this area of the Southwest Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, is very favorable for significant development of a tropical cyclone. Now, the time frame would be any time after the 6th or the 7th would be the time frame for any potential U.S. impacts. So we still got a long way to go with this system, but it bears watching. We're seeing some pretty favorable convective allowing models showing, not convective allowing models, we've been seeing long range guidance favoring development of this system. And I've actually been watching this for the past few days, and it looks like this system, out of all the systems we've had of recent, this one seems to be the one that's showing the highest chance of development of a tropical cyclone. So again, we're looking at a pretty significant threat here with this system. Now, I wasn't going to show this, but I guess I will. So we're going to drop down. I'm going to show you the 500 millibar height winds because I want to show you the pattern that's in place for this potential tropical cyclone. So let's actually move this up to 12Z. Here we go. So what's the pattern look like overall? Like, does this favor land interaction? Well, I want to show you this. So we're going to skip to the time frame where that tropical development starts to really develop. And here we go. So here's our pattern in place as we get closer to that time frame of our tropical system. It looks like we're going to have eastern trough and western ridging. Now, this is the typical setup that we have here in September, especially early September. We typically have a trough over the east, and then we have a ridge over the west. And then we have a system that likes to come out of Yucatan Peninsula. And in my experience, or in my time tracking these systems, they love to do a sort of Ian type track where they go up like this, and then they cut up the Carolinas. Now, not saying this is going to happen with this system, because there's a lot of outcomes with this system. One being that this doesn't develop at all. That is a possibility. But then there's another possibility that it takes so long to develop that it goes toward Mexico and it goes towards the Pacific. That is a possibility. But based on trends I've been seeing, those are just less likely scenarios, but they are still on the table. So right now, we have a trough over the east, and we have some western ridging. This is the pattern that's showing up as this tropical cyclone gets its act together. So what this storm would do, there's a couple scenarios. We could have a system that does something like this, or we could have a system that goes something like that, or we could have the second scenario where a system goes into the Gulf of Mexico. All three of these scenarios are on the table. And one of these supports some serious tropical development, because I'm telling you right now, based on things that I've been seeing from model runs, if we can get any development, I'm telling you right now, with no wind shear, no dry air, and very warm ocean waters, you're asking for trouble in the peak season of hurricane. You're asking for trouble. So right now, my thoughts are, I'm definitely favoring development, and I think we're going to have something to track over these next few weeks. Time's about to get active, folks, so if you're along the East Coast, Gulf Coast, anywhere, you'll want to watch out for a pretty significant storm coming towards you guys' neck of the woods. But for now, again, we're just in watch and wait mode. I will be bringing daily updates on this potential tropical cyclone. I want to bring you back to the tropical weather outlook. And again, we have a 40% chance now. This was dropped because last night it was a 50% chance, but I do expect this to go back up. And I will, again, update you daily on this, because this looks like it could be a big deal. The next name on the list is Francine. And we know how F name storms go in the Atlantic hurricane. So, not that really means anything, but F storms don't really have the best history here in Atlantic. So, again, just something to watch. Some pretty threatening scenarios showing up in the models. But I'll bring you guys an update tomorrow morning. Thank you for watching.